Okay, we are at Dances with Films LA at the Chinese Theater here in Los Angeles. Right now, this is filmsgonewild.com. My name is John Wildman, the editor-in-chief of Films Gone Wild. And introduce yourselves.
Yes, my name is Adrienne Acevedo Lovette. I am the director, producer, editor of In2U.
My name is Bryan Paez, and I am the director of photography for In2U.
Okay, our audience has not seen In2U yet. Introduce us. Tell us about the film.
Yeah, so In2U is a horror short concept based on the horror feature film with the same title. And it's about this influencer who basically gets stalked by a creature that's kind of manifested by humans that devours people in, I'll say devour, but it's pretty much what she does. Devours people using online dating apps as a way to get to her next victim. So it's like online dating apps and things like OnlyFans.
Okay. You know, we don't always have a DP with us, so let's talk about shooting In2U.
Yeah.
All right. You know, and because the film is very spare by its very nature, by the very setting. You know, in terms of, you know, we're in an apartment, and we don't have a lot of glorified set for you to work with, you know, to make things all fancy and complicated, and we need to scare the shit out of people.
Yeah, that's right.
So
that's right.
So talk about you know things that you wanted to do specifically to set us up for the big finish of this damn thing, you know, and leading into that. So talk about how you set up that world.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's no, crazy set pieces or anything, but it's also not something that I feel the story requires. You know what I mean? I think, to use what you said too, what scares the shit out of me, so that's kind of how I approached it. And to play with the audience, I decided to lean into playing what's lit and what's not lit. To me, what's terrifying is what I can't see. When I was a kid and I would be sleeping and then I would look at a fan in the corner and be like, is that a person? Is that actually a person? And playing into that element and letting the censor not get all the information in those shadows and not lighting in any way and letting the audience kind of determine for themselves what that is. So I think, one, the story didn't require it, and two, it all comes from what scares me, right? And leaning into that.
Well, it takes us all the way back to Val Lewton with the lessons we learned from him, right? Don't show the monster.
Yep.
Don't show the thing.
Nope.
And because our imaginations will do all the work you want for us. All right, I want to talk about the themes of this thing. Because listen, we've seen plenty of people who may or may not become a victim lead themselves down that path through hubris. We've seen, we've watched people and we've seen the bad decisions and go, don't do that, don't say that, don't, and go, that's what's going to kill you, dude, right? But there's also something deeper here, which I appreciated greatly, and that is that world that we live in where the sense of ego can blind us to, in this case, the threats that are out there. So I would love for you to talk about how you develop that, to interweave and make it more than just jump scare.
Yeah, I mean, this film, because it touches on people's need to be with someone and the dating world and people being so disposable in a way, and our need for companionship, the main character is going through ego in the sense of he's an influencer, he's putting himself out there, but he's putting himself out there, one, for loneliness, two, to get out of his not so great home. And our film, it's a little bit more of a slow burn, so it doesn't have a ton of the jump scare thing. It does have little moments, but it's kind of just going through this journey with him on feeling like a victim all of a sudden when he's never had to be a victim before, or not that kind of victim. He's been a victim in his own family, but being a victim from its fans is like a whole different thing. It's almost a betrayal. So him having to juggle through that in a horror film setting, I think it's very now, like it's very common to now. And the scares that do happen, or the scare for him, is just this the possibility of someone being really close by and not wanting them to be.
Let's go hardcore right into the practical of this thing. We're not going to talk about what happens at the end of this, but we are going to say that there are some effects.
Yes.
And so I want for both of you to talk about one, as the person who came up with this idea and generated, like, we go, well, what can we afford to do effects wise, and and to communicate what I want to happen in this scene. And then there's you having to figure out how to shoot it. So you go, well, we don't have Rick Baker coming in with all the effects kind of things, and yet I need to make this look visceral and gross and what have you, so it plays correctly. So now, first let's talk about the conception of how you chose to do it the way you did it.
Yeah, so we wanted to do both practical and VFX. This was the first time that we ever did VFX in one of our horror films in this extent. It's one of our goals every time we make a film, that we want to learn something new and do something new. So this was a new one for us, and we used some practical VFX, and then we had a VFX artist come in and do the other
enhance
exactly, enhance it and or build it from scratch. And it was an interesting experience because we didn't do it the way we should have. However, he was really great at rolling with that, and I'll let him speak about the cinematography aspect of that.
Yeah, let's talk about shooting that, because oftentimes, we don't have, like I said, we can't do it multiple times because we don't have the shit, and we don't have costume changes and stuff like that. So you've got to figure out if I got one shot, literally,
one shot, yep.
Then how am I doing?
Yeah, I think leaning heavily on the crew and even Adrienne, just to be like, okay, well, Adrienne, like, what do you want to see? What are we trying to communicate here? And what is the makeup going to look like? How can I plan my lighting around it to make it look even scarier, right? And then also, talking to the special effects artist that we had on set, and talking with my gaffer, and then being like, okay, so how's it doesn't completely come out, or what happens here, and kind of from communicating with them, finding my angle, right, and being like, oh, okay, so if I shoot it below, then it looks like skin's ripping or something, right? That was huge. So really, honestly, relying on the crew and just on their expertise really to inform my decisions was huge.
Well, again, I think this thing works. I think horror shorts, you've got to get in there and get out of there, and there's a skill to that. There's a special challenge to that, rather than having an hour and a half, as you say, to build jump scares and do all that. And I think you guys do it wonderfully in this thing. So
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so
to
much.
you.
Yeah.
Again, the project is In2U, screening at Dances with Films, LA.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that.
So